everyone, welcome back to another episode of Wisdom Byte. So whenever we come up with the Wisdom Bytes, you might be thinking about motivation speak or the guidelines or instruction for your life. Today I'm here with the new content of Interim Union Budget 2024. I, Mohammad S Asham, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce and Management, PAFGC College. So whenever we speak about Interim Union Budget, so we all know that the budget where the circle boundaries the government spends on the development of a country, as well as same interim budget, something light changes we have, where interim budget is a temporary budget which will be the government spending on the development of a country. So as whenever the budget comes up, the finance minister will be keeping up in front of all the other speakers. So February 1st, 2024, our Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman came up with the new interim budget 2024. So what about interim budget?
I commend the interim budget to this August House. Jai Hind.
So what about interim budget? What they have been proposed by the government for the allocation? So when we speak about interim budget, the first very major importance was given for capex. So when we say about capex, you might be wondering what is capex? Capex is nothing but capital expenditure of the country. So when we speak about capital expenditure, what it means? It means the total spending of the government on the infrastructure development or on long-term assets. So when we say about long-term assets, the one of major importance was infrastructure. So here the government spends money on 4 different major sectors. It is railways, buildings, ports, as well as other some of the activities which were there on the building sites. So these were some of the importance was mentioned in the capex. So here, as usual, last year also we have seen how much the budget was allocated. Last year was also the budget was 30 to 33% or 35% was the hike, where the last year budget was 10 lakh crores. So when we see about the spendings of a country, they didn't spend entire 10 lakhs. They have spent only 9.5 lakhs for the capex. So this year we can see some of the slight changes in the capex index. Capex index has changed from 33 to 35%, but this year again 11% hike will be given. It means from 10 lakh to 11.11 lakh crores will be allocated for capital expenditure. So when we speak about capital expenditure, yes, there is a benefit for our country also. When they spend much money on the long-term assets like building, ports or railways, we will get the opportunity for the employment and other human empowerment as well. So this is one of the major part where the money will be spent on capex. So when we speak other part, when we say about other instructions, we have many kind of instructions as well. So I was discussing about other instructions. So other instructions like railways, where out of capex, the main focus will be given for railways. So railways here, they spend 2.55 lakh crores for the new development of the railways. So they have coming up with a new different 3 coaches, which is maybe you are knowing: energy coaches, mineral coaches and cement coaches. So when we see these 3 new changes will be happening in railways, it will be very advantage for our country people to travel in railways. So apart from that, as well as the finance minister has quoted that even the safety is very important in railways. As she has said that also by saying that 40,000 bogies will be converted into the standard of Vande Bharat coaches. We all know that we are very proud about Vande Bharat Express, which is having a high class of coaches. So same thing they said, all the Indian railways, 40,000 coaches will be converted into Vande Bharat Express. So this is all very important part. As well as here, the government has to keep in their mind about the safety as well as. So why? Because we have seen many tragedies and many accidents which has happened in the last year. So one of the some of the few tragedies which has happened in the country was on 29th October 2023, where Andhra Pradesh accidents, 11th October 2023 Maharashtra train accident, and one of the biggest biggest accidents in the railway history was 2nd June 2023, which was Odisha train accidents. We have seen how many people we have lost in that. Around 260 to 300 people we have lost. So this was a very big accidents which in the railway histories as well.
People have been killed in a train crash in the eastern state of Odisha. It's already the country's worst train crash this century.
By keeping this in the mind, the country's total allocation should be allotted for the railways. So I hope so that from this interim budget, the safety also matters. So the second major sector which our finance minister was discussing about agriculture sectors. As we all know that India is mainly dependent on agriculture. Yes, agriculture is a very important aspect of our country as well as. So in the agriculture sectors, there's some of the developments. So the government will be introduced about like what we say Atmanirbhar oilseeds. Atmanirbhar oilseeds were introduced to get very easy for the green farmings. So in the Atmanirbhar oilseeds, the very important aspect was nano DAP seeds, where we can say it as nano dia-ammonium phosphate seeds. Where here it was introduced because to decrease the edible seeds which we are importing from the other countries, to decrease the import rates and to make the export rates more. So this was one of the new concept was introduced in the agriculture sectors as well. So when we say about this nano DAP seeds, which is very important for the green farming, where this year in 2024 to 25, the government is mainly focusing on the green farming of our country. So section 3. What about the section 3? What it was all about section 3 in the budget proposal? Section 3 is quite interesting as well as it's mainly focused on education and healthcare sectors. When we say about education, the government had many schemes like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, and many private institutions also been introduced for the education sectors. But this year we would see slight change in the education sector as well in the budget. So last year also we have seen our government has promised to spend 1,16,417 crores for the education sectors. But they spent that much? No, they didn't spend exact amount of what they have allocated. They spent only 1,08,878 crores for the education sectors. So they promised, they do it, and they didn't achieve the target. This year we could see the slight change from 1,16,417 crores to 1,25,100 crores. It means approximately which will be having a slight change over there. So this is all about the third sector what we speak about. So where the cutoff has gone? Yes, in the healthcare section also there's a cutoff. In the education sector also there's a cutoff. But here if we see about the education sectors, there's a cutoff. There's a 60%, more than 60 to 61% of cut down in the UGC grant. UGC grant is nothing but University Grant Commission, where there's a 61% cutoff. We have seen that last year it was 6,409 crores which was allotted, but this year we could see only 2,500 crores. So where it is a very drastic downfall of the budget in the UGC Grant Commission. But where the amount is going on? So we have been seeing IITs, IMS. So IITs there was a slight change, around 2 to 2.5 lakh crores was increment. But in IIMs, no, there is no any changes has been fall down over there. But where this highest increment has given? Here the highest increment in the budget was given for central universities. Central universities, there is a much change over here because last year it was 12,000 lakh crores, but this year they are spending 15,902 crores. So this is some of the which is a drastic we would see in the budget allocation in the education sectors. Section 3 we had two parts, that is education and healthcare sector. We have discussed about the education. Next one was healthcare sectors. What are the actual healthcare spendings happening in the country? So when we see about the last year budget, revised budget of 2023-24, they had promised to spend 89,000 lakhs for the healthcare sectors. They didn't spend as well as they have promised. They spent only 89,000 lakhs for the healthcare sectors. This year we can see a small slight change in the budget where they have moved from 89,000 lakh to 90,000 lakhs in the healthcare sectors. And one more 2 points was highlighted by the finance minister was Ayushman Bharat expansion. Ayushman Bharat will be expanded for all the Anganwadi and Asha Karyakartas, as well as one more was highlighted was cervical cancer vaccination for all the girls in the country. Apart from this healthcare and education sectors, one more section was highlighted in the budget was housing sectors. So housing sector, when we speak about housing sector, our finance minister has said some of the highlighted point was like we all know that some of the schemes that's going on in the country was Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, where the people gets home for the middle class people and below middle class people. So last year the budget was allocated was 79,590 crores, and this year we have incremented it for 80,671 crores for 2024 to 25 financial years. So this was some of the changes happening in housing sectors, and as the finance minister has also promised that they will be introducing another new scheme for the middle class people, whoever stays in a rented homes or slums or unauthorized colonies where they stay. They will be having new other schemes will be implemented very soon as possible for them to have a proper home to live in the country. If it another part was if we speak about overall GDP of a country, we have two different types of GDP. One is nominal GDP and one more is real GDP. So for example, if a country has GDP of 15% and inflation is around 10%, and our real GDP will be 5%. If you see the current GDP of a country, it's like how it falls under, like we have a GDP of 10.5% and we have an inflation rate is 4%. So our real GDP will be around 6.5%. Yeah, this is very quite very interesting, as well as in the December report, the RBI said that they are in the boundary of 7% of GDP. No, they are not in the boundary of 7% GDP. They are still in 6.5% of real GDP of a country. Even if IMF has rated a country in 6.3% of GDP. They said there was a two main area focus was in the interim budget 2024, whereas the first one was capex, and the second one she was discussed about to reduce the fiscal deficit of a country. So when we say about fiscal deficit, it's nothing but the expenses are more than the income earned by the government. So where the government is spending more than what they are earning. So it might be in any of the sectors. So they said that they have to reduce it. So for that, this year 2024-25 in the budget, they have allocated 17.86 lakh crore rupees for the fiscal deficit as well. So when we say about last year's revised budget, they also had good promises for the country, but they had said that they will achieve 5% of GDP. No, they promised that to achieve 5% of GDP, but they did for 5.9 as well as. So when we speak about this year 2024-25, again our finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman has promised that they will reduce it for 5%. Yes, 5% is a quite good number in a GDP, where our country will be very proud of the 5% of GDP as well. So as well as she has promised that, saying that they are trying to reduce this for 3% in 2026. So this is all about the GDP rate which was happened in the country and about the fiscal deficit happening in the country. This was the second main major area where our finance ministers discussed about. So apart from that, if you see the taxes, yes, there is no any changes of taxes from last year to this year. It will be remain as same from the last year to this year budget. And what are the major changes happened here? So last year financial year 2025, 19% will be from IT returns. Yeah, IT returns has well quite incomes for the country as well. So 19% of the earnings will be from IT returns, and another major part we all know that about GST tax, where 18% will be earned from the GST tax as well as, and other 17% will be earned from the corporate tax. Corporate tax nothing but from the businessmen, from the other companies which they have to pay for their profits. So apart from this, which we are very which we should be very quite known about, is about borrowings. How many percent of borrowings is taken from the country? So here 28% of borrowings will be taken from the government, from the international as well as domestic. So this scheme has been named by the finance minister, saying that Viksit Bharat in 2047, where she says that we have to clear all the borrowings, all the debt which we have in a country by 2047, naming it Viksit Bharat. So in 2047, she said that our country should be developed one among others as well as. So this is all about what we speak about fiscal deficit, or it might be about taxes, what are the changes. So as again I am saying that there is no any changes in the tax rates. The tax rates remains quite same from the last year to this year. Apart from two major areas, other four sections was introduced by our finance minister, saying that they will be overcoming from these problems. The fourth major sector was one was Yuva, Garib, Annadata and Mahila. So when we say about Yuva, youth, Annadata for the farmers, Mahila for the women empowerment, and last one for Garib, where the poor index numbers. So when we see about women empowerment, the women working in a country was around quite much in 2005. if you see the data of 2005, around 33% of women used to go for the work. When we have seen the report of 2021, it has cut down for around 12%. Only 12% women are working in the nature. And if you see poor index number, our country is quoted among 111 out of 125. It means 111 out of 125, because we know that many poor people are living in our country as well. As when we see about labor index number, when we see about the data about labor index number, our country has facing 43% of youth don't have jobs from the age group of 20 to 25. Yes, for that another schemes was introduced by the government in the state as well as in the central government as well. But when we see it, it's around many 41% people don't have jobs for the age group of 20 to 25. This is all about the interim budget 2024 to 25. So I wish, I hope so that this was the takeaways of interim budget 2024 to 25, which was kept by our finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman. I hope so that the major takeaways or the major highlighted points have been explained to you all. This is very important to know that where our country is facing the problem, what about our country is moving on, what are the standards of our country, what are the budget which is allocated by the government for the country spending. As a citizen of India, we should know about this as well. So thank you. Keep watching Wisdom Bytes to support and share the video.